Nick Marsh, Makhi Frazier, they will both be questionable for this USC game on Saturday night. And speaking of questionable, is that the kind of 3-0 start that we just got from Michigan State?
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing to kick off? That's right, another game week here at Locked On Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below if you're feeling some type of way for better or for worse after this 3-0 start, because with the one, the only Connor Muldowney of Spartan Avenue, of Spartan Shadows, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk Jonathan Smith and this UCLA job. But before all of that, all eyes were on East Lansing for Monday's media availability with Jonathan Smith, because we have some injuries that we had to get some news on. From Saturday, Connor, it looked like a war field out there. Luka Vincic, your interior offensive lineman, transferred from Oregon State, out the rest of the season. Alante Brown, unfortunately, another long-term injury in his career. But the two big names here, Nick Marsh, Makhi Frazier, both questionable. Now, Graham Couch, he went a little deeper. He was at media availability today. Now, he said, hey, if Nick Marsh is very limited at practice this week, will he still be up for playing on Saturday? And the tweet from Graham Couch reads, quote, Smith made it clear that if Nick Marsh is good to go, even if limited all week, you'll see him out there. Connor, the line opened up at 14.5, Michigan State underdogs. I hope you're sitting down for that news. It's now out to 17 points, 17.5 points. Look, point blank, if Nick Marsh can't play on Saturday, will you turn the game on at 11 p.m.? I mean, like, is he that important to this one where, like, if he's out for this game, then there's no shot? Or what do you feel about needing to Marsh out there on that field?
I wouldn't say there's no shot, but definitely, like, facing the number one offense in the country, you want all your dogs out there. But I will say that compared to last year, like when we didn't have Nick Marsh for the Boston College game, that felt like it was over before it started, even though it was close. Mm-hmm. This time we have Omari Kelly, Jack Velling is alive, surprisingly. I don't know if
really nice game,
but he's alive.
Yeah.
And like Krishan McCray, Rod Bullard, we have guys, but obviously Marsh is on a different level than most. So
I was going to jot down a bunch of Nick Marsh stats, but that'd be pointless. We all know how important he is to this offense. Like, that is a arguably day one draft pick in the future, and he looks like it in his first 3 games so far this season. I understand, like, even if you don't have him, like, you can go back a few years, or I don't know, like 6-7 years at this point, when Michigan State went on the road to Penn State. They had Cam Chambers playing wide receiver, wearing 2 boxing gloves in the second half, basically. So, like, upsets can happen. It can be done. But like, he is paramount to this offense. So we won't know anything until later on this week, potentially up until Saturday night's game time. But that is the big news coming out of media availability.
Do you want to feel a little bit worse about the receiver room a little bit? Have you seen what Jeremy Bernard is doing at Alabama?
Yeah, 2 touchdowns for the young man. Yeah.
He would look real nice in that receiving core next to Marsh and Kelly.
Could you imagine them as a trio? My goodness gracious.
So woo! He's being talked about as a first round, like the first receiver taken this year.
The guy's balling out for Alabama.
Yeah, he's good.
There's no question about it. And you might have to have 3 NFL caliber receivers on this offense to keep up with USC, which funnels in great to our next topic of conversation, Connor, because look, I understand how silly this is to do after a 3-0 start, but there might be some concern bubbling. And Connor, can I do something that I'm incredibly unqualified for right now? Do you allow me this as a guest of this podcast to give me permission?
I encourage it, yeah.
Because this is dumb. There's no one less qualified to do a movie reference than I, because I've seen about 7 movies in my entire life. I mean, Locked On Spartans listeners will know that there are some Aboriginal tribesmen out there in the jungle of the Amazon that have seen more movies than I have. But let's just let it rip anyway. Because one movie that I did see, Connor, in my life, Step Brothers. Like, we've all seen Step Brothers. So the reference that I kind of, really lived this last weekend, Connor, is that scene where Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly's characters, they go to a job interview with Seth Rogen, both wearing tuxedos, right? Hey, this is fun. We're having a great time. Seth Rogen is loving it. And that was us on Friday. Last Friday, or I'm sorry, that was us on Saturday. Saturday, the start of that interview. Childs looks like Superman out there. We beat Boston College, took double overtime to do it, but what a great emotional win for Michigan State. We're all smiling. This is great. And in the movie, some oddities happen during this interview. This is strange. Seth Rogen is starting to say to himself, and this is a family show, the tuxedos now kind of seem a little messed up right now. That was me on the most recent Saturday, Connor. The pass rush is lacking once again, this time against an FCS team. You can't move the ball on the ground. And on top of all that, Boston College, they lose to Stanford later that night. Stanford is horrible, Connor. Yeah. Me, you, and the first 9 listeners of this show, we could probably beat Stanford. So after all that, I'm starting to look around and say, okay, Aiden Childs had to be Superman to win that game against Boston College. You needed double overtime to beat a Boston College team in your own house. This is all starting to look a little messed up right now. I don't know if I'm having so much fun as I was last Saturday. Was that a good movie reference? Did I ace that? Like, are things starting to be a little strange now in hindsight from last Saturday? Or
things do feel a little messed up now for sure.
Things are messed up, aren't they?
Messed up. It's hard to say if we should panic over Boston College's performance. Obviously, losing to a team that had lost both of its games to start the season, and lost by double digits, and it really wasn't close at the end. That's a little concerning. I do think that the quarterback that we face, like Boston College's quarterback, I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks we face all year, and I think he did that against Stanford. He did it against us. He did it in the opener. It makes you pause a little bit and think maybe we overhyped the Boston College win a little bit. Maybe this team is not quite where. I mean, this is a 6-win team. I think we all came into the year thinking that, and I think that they're on pace to do that. And people are just starting to panic because the game against Boston College was as close as it was, and they might not be very good.
It was just the icing on the cake for me on Saturday night because, I mean, in our post-game show after Youngstown, we started with the good stuff. Childs looks great. Nick Marsh is a phenom, but he's injured. But it would be just disingenuous to talk about that game and not, point out the underlying concerns. Not even underlying, just straight concerns with this team now. And then that happens. Boston College loses to Stanford. And I get traveling across the country to play a conference game, keep in mind. That is ACC powerhouse Stanford. No. There's something to be said about that for almost every other team but Stanford. I think that lowly of the Cardinal. I think that is one of the worst Power 4 teams, not just this season, but in recent memory. I mean, Hawaii, they also flew over 3 time zones to start the season, and they beat Stanford. Like Boston College losing to them, and it wasn't just that, but you look at the stats, Connor. Stanford got 18 pressures. They got 3 quarterback hits. They got 2 sacks on Dylan Lonergan. Now, Michigan State the week prior, what was it? Was it 12 quarterback pressures? It was 1 hit. It was 0 sacks. I mean, I know I'm picking just one area of the game to focus on, but when it was the thorn on our side all of last year, and it has looked incredibly underwhelming as Michigan State just has 6 sacks. I'm holding up 7 fingers. That's nice. 6 sacks after 3 games. I can't help but to not feel maybe a little underwhelmed and concerned about what's to come here, because this road doesn't get any more velvety from this way forward. So look, if you just want to club me over the head and say you got to just chill out, this team's 3-0, would you just absolutely focus on the positives? Please do, but I don't know, just something feels just ominous about the next few weeks here.
I mean, it's fair to criticize a team 3-0 when they're not lighting up teams that they should be lighting up and dominating in the way that they should. They had an FCS opponent. There was a perfect chance for a tune-up game. You come out, offense looks great. Defense just it's almost like we saw a completely different defense against Western Michigan that we've seen the past 2 weeks. And I don't know if it's a schematic issue. I don't know if it's planned so we're not getting as much of a pass rush, so we have more guys back to defend. I don't know what it is, but it is a little concerning that we get 2 sacks against an FCS team, and one of those came from a blitzing linebacker. I think that's a little bit it just can't I mean, the same issue that we had last year, and we can knock the secondary as much as we want. Secondary obviously hasn't played well, but they're not getting much help from the defensive line.
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. And with football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you could turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. That's one of my favorite parts about PrizePicks, guys. You're waiting for NFL Sunday to get started. You're on the couch. There's a commercial. Okay, I got like 40 seconds to make a nice little lineup here, and then, you can turn that into actual winnings. It is amazing with PrizePicks, guys. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. It's PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Also, guys, may I interest you in being the sharpest Michigan State fan out there thanks to Alumni Hall, because this is the best place to get your Michigan State gear. Alumni Hall has the largest selection of officially licensed gear, guys. We're talking Nike, we're talking Columbia, Champion, Yeti, New Era, so many others, and they have apparel for the entire family. We're talking kids to adults, and plus a huge selection of hats, gifts, and all the tailgating gear you could ever need to make your setup the best in the lots this season. And they really take care of the Spartan community, guys. Michigan State students and faculty, as well as military and all first responders, you get 10% off with a valid ID in the store. And on top of all that, you'll want to follow Alumni Hall on social media and download the Alumni Hall app, because that is where you will find their special offers and sales. So stop into Alumni Hall in the Eastwood Town Center in Lansing near the Apple Store, or shop online or through their app. And the best part is, for every $150 you spend, you will get $10 in Hall cash to use for the next time. So grab the new game day look, your tailgating essentials, whatever it is, with Alumni Hall, your ultimate Michigan State shopping destination. That's what I always go back to. Like, and I said it in the post-game show, it's like, I think our secondary is fine. Hard stop at that, though. Yeah. Like, I don't think they're great. I don't think they're pretty good. I don't think they're atrocious, but it is hard to grade them when you have a front four that could just seemingly never get to the passer. And even a lot of these times, these blitzes, I go back to the Boston College game, and I understand Lonergan gets the ball out quick, of course, but even those blitzes weren't getting home if Lonergan had another second or two in the pocket before he got rid of the ball. So I'm just concerned. I'm jaded from last year, underwhelmed with the portal action this season. And so far, after 3 games, I was going to say 3 easiest games. UCLA will have something to say about that in a few weeks here, but 3 of your easier games, I should say. It had to look better. It didn't look better. And I know that how ridiculous this sounds. It sounds so stupid. It sounds so entitled for me to be sitting as a fan of a 3-0 team and demanding more. But Connor, we haven't seen a bowl game in the last few years. Like, we should be happy about 3-0 any way we can get it. But I'm staring down the road here, and you're going to be favored right now on paper, according to S&P Plus, in just one game. Not even the Maryland game. It's UCLA is the only game you're going to be favored against. Now things can and will change. But Connor, I got a question for you. Speaking of S&P Plus, you mind if I ask you a question about Bill Connolly's work over at ESPN?
Sure.
Okay, because Bill Connolly, which I do really appreciate his work. I do really enjoy him. He ranked all 39 undefeated FBS teams. That's right. There are 39 teams that have yet to have a loss. Your Michigan State Spartans are one of them. 1 through 39, Connor, where does Michigan State rank?
Based off of what you're kind of leading into, I'm going to say somewhere in like the 32 to 35 range.
I would go even lower than that, Connor. Do you want to mulligan on that? No, I would go lower than that.
39.
39 out of 39, which, like, look, okay. Obviously, I haven't.
Okay. All right.
I'm kind of with you. Like, okay. I clearly haven't been the rosiest host here the first 10 minutes of this show. Okay. Behind North Texas, no disrespect to the Mean Green Machine down there, but okay. Come on. And I know that this is all like numbers-based, analytics-based. It's hard to argue against any of this because these people are smarter than you and I are, Connor. But this is what Bill Connolly wrote. Like Louisville, Jonathan Smith's Spartans have basically played precisely 2 projections in 2025. Unlike Louisville, it won't be great if that continues. Their projected underdogs in 8 of 9 Big Ten matchups. Like, it can't. I mean, I know I'm just arguing something stupid right now. It just can't. It can't be that bad. Like, these other teams don't have Aiden Giles. They don't have Nick Marsh. I understand the defense might give up 50 a game the rest of the season, but disrespect season's back? Connor, is that the angle?
The overreaction to a double-digit win over, and I mean, we were only favored by 23.5.
I know.
Not exactly a pushover FCS. I mean, it is an FCS school. You should win.
They're fine. They're fine.
They're fine. They have a good offense. That's pretty much what they're known for. But like overreacting to the point of 39th best 39th out of 39 and 3-0 teams feels. I mean, like Memphis is 3, Navy's 3-0. Like, what are we doing here?
The midshipmen being higher than MSU.
Was it just Power 4 teams, or was it all 3-0 teams?
All FBS 3-0 teams. So yeah, I again love the armed forces. Thank you for everything you guys do. We can't possibly be worse than Navy.
No,
I don't care what the numbers. I don't care what the analytics say. Like, I just flatly refuse to believe that.
There's no way.
Could we stop that offense? I don't know.
I'm looking at the undefeated teams. Arizona, there's no way that Arizona's better. There's no way that UCF is better. There's just, you look down the list of team. Rutgers looked horrible in the first 2 weeks of the season. There's no way they're better. I don't know.
Maybe I'm really wrestling in my own brain right now because all these teams you named, like one by one, like I'm like, oh, we could drop 40 on them. Yeah. That's easy.
Maryland.
And then the other side of my brain is like, oh, well, we could also give up 50 against all these teams. Yeah. Like
I have a hard time believing that we are the worst undefeated team in the country. Seeing all the teams that are undefeated, there's just absolutely no way.
It's jarring. So I just had to bring that up after seeing that float around on Twitter today. But Connor, if we got one thing to us, it's that we're not UCLA.
That's
and
true.
We got that going for us. So look, for the second time this show, I'm going to ask you permission to do something. Am I allowed to talk about Jonathan Smith and this UCLA job? Because this is going to rub some people the wrong way. But I think, as being a member of a fan base that thinks that Nate Oates is going to be one of these top candidates when Tom Izzo eventually leaves, just because Nate Oates taught in Romulus for about 4 minutes. Allow me to talk about Jonathan Smith possibly going back to his hometown of Pasadena for this UCLA job. Is that okay with you, Connor, before I go any further?
Yes, go for it. Yep.
Thank you for granting permission. Now, look, we're going to have just an honest dialogue about this. I'm not saying Smith should go. I'm not saying that I think he is going to leave for UCLA. I think it's quite the opposite. But as that job opens up in Pasadena, where he grew up, obviously he's from the West Side, did much of his coaching on the West Side. Yeah, it's worth a conversation, and also maybe talking about why this might probably definitely not happen. But yeah, his name's been popping up here. Now, here are the numbers behind this, Connor. If UCLA were to poach him away, the buyout got cut in half. If another team poaches him, it would be about $3 million-ish is what UCLA would pay Michigan State. Now, you might be familiar with a $33 million number. Weren't you just talking about that all offseason when the new AD came in, Matt? Well, yes, I was. That's what he would be owed if Michigan State fired him. So there's a difference between UCLA pulling him away and then Michigan State just saying, get out of here. Here's your $33 million in a big old brown bag. Get out of here. Now, Connor, why would Jonathan Smith go to UCLA? Well, he's from Pasadena. It could be job security, perhaps. I go back. Do you want a weird cross-sport reference, Connor?
Absolutely.
Of course, this is on top of everyone's mind right now. I go back to Pat Chambers, the old Penn State basketball coach. He was doing fine enough at Penn State, but then he left to go be a head coach at Army. Why? For airtight job security for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Smith leaves MSU for UCLA. He's going to have a longer runway than even Michigan State will give him. Mm-hmm. Now, why would he go to UCLA, though, Connor? Because you're building something here. Why would you need job security at your next place if you have at least $33 million coming your way? And Connor, let me read you a tweet from Stuart Mandel of The Athletic to show you what dire straits UCLA is in right now. The tweet from Stu Mandel. Deshaun Foster had to go, but UCLA's problems are much deeper than the head coach with no easy solution. $200 million athletics deficit over the last 6 years, no NIL pot of gold, complete fan apathy, and he's not kidding. There were more fans at the Stevenson versus Chippewa Valley High School game here in Michigan than there were the UCLA-New Mexico game on Friday night. And the Stu Mandel tweet ends with Big Ten competitors way more invested in football. Good luck to the next head coach. Connor, like in your heart of hearts, do you think that there's even a % chance Jonathan Smith is even intrigued by this UCLA job?
No. No.
Easy
No.
answer.
I think it's one of the worst jobs
It's
out there. It's a horrible job. They don't care about football pretty much at all. They used to. They used to have a pretty good football tradition, but I mean, it's a basketball school. They kind of, they tried with Foster. They thought they got a young head coach who would kind of conjure up a little bit of excitement and youthfulness, and they got, the quarterback from Tennessee, and that was supposed to be a thing. They probably spent their whole budget on getting a quarterback, and they don't have anybody to help them out.
Looks like it.
So I don't see Jonathan Smith as the kind of guy who's trying to bounce around from job to job. He left Oregon State for a pretty good reason, that the program was not, they were leaving a major conference. They were kind of in murky waters, an uncertain future. He left for, people will say more money, but I think he left for a better position in the Big Ten and at a school that you can win at. That's proven you can win big games at. I think that would be the most reverse move of all time, like going from Michigan State to UCLA. But I mean, that would be like an end of career move. Like if he's 65 and he wants to move back home, but he still kind of wants to coach type thing, maybe. Yeah. But I don't think he wants to start a new rebuild while he's in year 2 of one that kind of looks like it's headed in the right direction. It definitely looks like it's headed in the right direction. He has his hand-picked quarterback. Right. He's built an offense that he likes. It would make zero sense to me.
As you guys already know, college football is back, and we can't be more excited about that. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there is nothing like it. But let's be real, like getting the tickets to these games sometimes can feel like more of a battle itself than the game. Endless queues. We're talking hidden fees. There's prices jumping at the checkout. Like how many ticketing apps out there? Hey, say $20 tickets. Woohoo. And then at the very end when you check out, they're all of a sudden $68 tickets. What's going on here? That's why I use Game Time. All right. They take all the funny business out of shopping for tickets, guys. It is the upfront cost you get. It's 2 taps on your phone, and then the tickets are just sent straight to you. It is truly that simple with Game Time. And saving money, also pretty easy. Later on this week, I might be going down to Comerica Park. I've already been shopping with their zone deals in the days leading up, or I might just go ahead, a few minutes before first pitch, hop on one of their last-minute deals. There's always a great way to save with Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That is promo code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. I'll tell you where it would never head in the right direction. And look, I still think Jonathan Smith is a solid coach. You can get Vince Lombardi at UCLA right now. I don't see a pathway for success for them. Not to throw stones in a glass house and like not to say that, hey, things are great over here in East Lansing. We've just been killing it the last few years. But I mean, I go back to a conversation we had with Max Brown. He's a college football analyst, and he had a great take when Jonathan Smith was hired by Michigan State. It's that, hey, to leave Oregon State, he wanted to take one of these jobs in the Big Ten or the SEC because those are the 2 power conferences that have the clearest path forward in this ever-changing landscape of college football. And I agree with that. The 18 teams in the Big Ten, combined with however many there are in the SEC, those are the golden jobs. I got to throw an asterisk by that. For like all teams except like UCLA
and Purdue, maybe. like
Northwestern, I can't see being great shakes. I mean, I think for 90% of these teams, like, these are the cushy jobs. Mm-hmm. You want a low-end Big Ten job more than you want like a high-end ACC job in some cases, but UCLA is just not that case. I cannot begin to describe, and Stuart Mandel did a great job just lining it up in his tweet, how helpless of a job that is. Like, it's terrible. So I'm at a 0.5% chance that Smith is intrigued by this UCLA job, and that 0.5% truly.
That's high, probably.
Like all that it is, all that I can muster up is that
home.
Home is home.
Yeah.
Home is home. I like palm trees a lot more than I like pine needle trees over here, and I know that just got my Midwest card stripped away from me saying that, but I don't know. Dodger game's a lot easier to get to in the off season. If you live in Pasadena, then the Lansing area. That's literally all I got, though. There's no other redeeming quality.
if he took the UCLA job, there's a good chance that he's looking for another job in like 4 or 5 years, and then he's back in a worse position than he is right now.
I know.
So it would be doing himself a disservice if he took a job. And who knows? Like you said that that he would have great job security. He probably would definitely have more than Foster got, but they also fired him 3 games into his second season. Like they didn't give that's one of the earliest firings I can remember since like Willie Taggart at Oregon or something.
Nice drop. That's a good call. Yeah,
it was Florida State, one of the two. I don't remember where he got fired, but
was it both?
It was like year 2. Like it was very early on, which is, I don't know. I don't think he wants to take the risk of like that program has a very dark future, like immediate dark future. They're not going to be good for a while.
I know you do great work at Spartan Avenue, Spartan Shadows, but Connor, like Martin Jarmond, who I think is still the AD over at UCLA, he calls you. Would you take that job? Let's say it's $3.5 million per year for the next 5 years. Would you take that job, Connor? UCLA head coach?
Sure.
Sure. Wow. Good for you.
$3.5 million a year. Sure.
Good for you.
I would
need to see what the buyout is before I
agree.
You
could be my OC. We'll get Chief and my burners as the other coordinators.
So you're hiring yourself as the other coordinators. Okay. Interesting move, but aggressive.
Yeah,
you got to see it. Okay.
I feel like you got a good offensive mind there. I feel like we could get something going.
I don't, but that's okay. We're doing a lot of 4 verts.
You could do better than Jay Johnson, that's for sure.
Absolutely. One of the easiest 5-bets of the week last week was Utah at Wyoming, and we picked the under, and that hit by almost like half the points that the total was at.
Great bet.
I mean,
did you see that Oregon State fans are getting to the point where they're thinking about Jay Johnson as a head coach candidate?
Stop it.
Sure.
It can't be that bad out there.
It is that bad.
I flatly refuse to believe
it was one tweet, but it was still a fan that was like, well, he runs a pro-style offense. We should think about that.
What's that meme? This is really going to resonate with a lot of the older listeners here. It's Walter White screaming behind the closed window of an SUV. Oh, that's me to that Oregon State fan right there. Like, no, don't stop.
Yeah. That's bad. But honestly, couldn't happen to a better program.
Enough time has passed where I actually feel a little bad for them. I'm going to be honest.
It's okay. After everything they said, they can bask in
that's good to see that your heart is still black and made of charcoal. That's good.
I'm petty. I'll admit it. I'll
good for you.
I still hate Colorado.
Look at you know what? Yeah, same. I don't know, something about them just
rub me the wrong way.
I don't hate seeing them lose, but Oregon State, I'm starting to have a soft spot, but maybe that's just because I'm the softest person.
Don't let them make you forget. Don't let them make you forget what they said.
I'm going to dig up some old tweets to fire myself back up here. Good. Perfect. Connor, what a journey. We got to be concerned about Michigan State, but we ended with deflecting off our problems and just talking about UCLA. But I'm glad we talked about it. We got a few questions emailed to us about Smith and UCLA. There was some chatter on Twitter, obviously. But, again, like, this is a fan base that thinks that Nate Oates is going to be a viable candidate because he was here for 6 minutes in a city an hour and a half away from Lansing. This is a fan base that wants Phil Parker hired as the defensive coordinator, even though he hasn't really stepped in East Lansing soil for a permanent time in 25 years. We like our hometown connections. We're allowed to talk about our coach when there's another hometown connection opening somewhere else. I like to think.
And let me say one thing about the rumors too. I as you know, like that was the big rumor yesterday. I wrote a whole story about it, posted it. Yeah. The feedback I got on social media from State fans was like, oh, they can have him. And it's like,
okay.
It surprised me a little bit because I feel like he hasn't shown enough of being a poor coach or being headed in the wrong direction to warrant that kind of reaction. So I think that our fan base needs to chill out a little bit. We forget where D'Antonio was even in year 3. D'Antonio started out 1-3 with a loss to Central Michigan.
Not great.
and people wanted him gone. So let's chill out. I'm not saying he's going to be D'Antonio. I'm not even going to say he's not even the same type of coach as D'Antonio. But let's chill on overreacting until it warrants it. Like, we're 3-0 right now. We're not going to start over again because you might not like that he's not a flashy coach. I think that's lame. I don't know what you think about that.
Let's just get out the door here because, we did talk about concerns here. Let's end on a high note. Yes, there's concerns with the defense, of course. I'm not thrilled with it, as you guys could probably tell. The 2-minute warning stuff has to be fixed. That has just been bizarre. But, again, I'm going to end on a positive. Hey, this offense is taking strides.
Yeah.
It's like they got their guys. You wanted growth out of Aiden Childs. You wanted your head coach, who's a former quarterback himself, to groom Aiden Childs to be a really good quarterback in year 2. Okay, things are starting to look that way. I would say they did a really good job in the transfer portal for the offensive line, for the wide receivers. Like, there are good things with the staff. To chase them out of town already because the 3-0 isn't as shiny as you want it to be. Okay, I mean, they could be right one day, but right now, as we're sitting here on Monday, September 15th, I don't know. I think it's a little early for the hook here. But
first back-to-back 40-point game since 2017, I think, is a major positive to take.
What a stat that is. Look at that. Ended on a high note. Yep. Got to rip on another program, and a fun fact to get you out for the rest of your Monday, the start of your Tuesday. Whenever you're listening to this, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans. We will be back tomorrow. Got RJ Shelton on the show. Then later on this week, a little crossover with Locked On Trojans. And then before you know it, that's right, in the wee hours of the night, Spartans, Trojans. Catch the action. Guys, until then, take care of yourselves. Love you all, especially you, Connor. Go green.
Go white.